Welcome. Today we have a really fun episode for you. We're talking about the human design new year and how it differs than our standard new year and why maybe you should wait a little bit on starting those resolutions.
Yeah, that resolution. I mean, how many of us have just rushed into it? New Year's comes and we're still like trying to piece something together, throw it against the wall. That's been half of my New Year's resolutions, Moni. The
Yeah.
very end, I throw something against the wall, and guess what? It doesn't stick.
Yeah, exactly. And then you try it out for 3 days, you don't have the energy for it. And then a week and a half later, you totally drop out and just feel bad and guilty about it, right? And maybe
Right.
it's because the energy that's out there in the world isn't really conducive to the exact, calendar for New
Well, not
Year's.
only to the exact calendar, it's also not conducive to the way. Let's take the most existential, totally non-emotional, only individual definition person. I know I'm getting a little nerdy here. They're all on their own. They might see things a certain way, but even they need to go through a process, sort of like an emotional process of just feeling and then feeling again. And it's like a clarity. This isn't a clarity process, whether you're emotional or not. That's what I would call this, because we're going to span over a good 5 weeks, 4 weeks or so.
Yeah.
4 weeks about. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And learning how to ride that wave and then kind of be able to funnel and channel that energy once it's
Hmm.
appropriate and how it's appropriate into what you actually want to develop for yourself into the new year. So you ready to dive in?
Yeah. Let's dive right in.
All right, so here we have our calendar from basically Christmas through beginning of February. And so we're just going to break this down of what is the energy each of these weeks and how we can work with it to build up for the year that you desire.
And the working with it very much is like what Richard Rudd did and Ra did to come up with the hexagrams. It's a contemplation, it's an allowing, it's a surrender. Surrender to win, is what I always say. So surrender to this timing. It slows down. And then as we approach gate 41 and that date there, January 22nd, first second, that's when you say my New Year's resolution. And then we'll give you a little runway afterwards to take back off with it. So
Yeah. So basically, hold off on those New Year's resolutions until 3 weeks of January, and then we're going to dive into the specifics here right now.
yep. And
So,
it'll be a process of coming to it. So you don't have to wonder what the heck it was. You came to it. Just trust it. Surrender. You'll see.
mhm. So first up, we have December 20th through the 25th, right? And at that time, the sun is in gate 10 and the earth is in 15, right? And so this is the time of the winter solstice and Christmas, right? And in this time, so the 10 and the 15 are also their identity gates and their vessel of love gates specifically. And so
Hmm.
when we hit those vessel of love gates, it's a time to realign with love, right? And what is that time? The winter solstice. We've been getting darker and darker, and the days are shorter and shorter. And finally, the light of the world is coming back, which is the same thing as the Christmas celebration, right? It's the light of the world. That these two things coincide, I think, is so beautiful because the light is coming
Yeah.
back into the world and how we can realign ourselves with, loving ourselves and our own journey as well as loving the world.
Absolutely. And this vessel of love business is very much love of humanity. So this is the love inside the world and the love of ourself in it. The capacity to even see the behavior around and choose to allow love to guide all of that. So the contemplation here is, do I love me? What do I feel about that? And if it's hard, good. And if it's not so hard, well, keep doing it. But that's the contemplation.
Mm-hmm.
Just to look inward and outward at the same thing. All of humanity, all of me, all of humanity. What is it? What is all that about? Just allow that to ponder and reflect inside of you as we move on to the next one.
Yeah, 10 and 15 very much remind me of the golden rule of love your neighbor as yourself. For
Yeah,
15, love others, love the world, love your neighbor as yourself. Gate 10, and there's that balance, there's a harmony there.
golden rule. I love that you said that. Take the golden rule with you into these few days of where you're just contemplating this. Yep.
Perfect. So then moving on, right? December 25th through the 31st, right? That's that weird in between Christmas and New Year's time where you're like, what day is it? What are we doing, right? There's this kind of nebulous time. And at this time, the sun is in gate 58 and the earth is in 52, right? And this is a time of joy and stillness. It's literally a time to take it easy, to reflect and kind of see, look back at your life. look back at this year and all the wonderful things that we have to be grateful for. Like we're just getting out of Christmas, and whoever you're spending that with, whatever holiday, winter holiday you're celebrating, right? It's a time of it's cold. It's, want to be cozy with your loved ones and to reflect in that and be grateful for it, to take stock of those things and how lucky we are.
And if you're all alone for Christmas, make sure you do the exact same thing, because the reflection falls off of what just happened in from the 20th to the 25th. This is still about you. And it's what was sort of felt like you loved throughout this last year. What might you love and what joy? This stillness is for you to experience the joy. If you're on the move, you miss it. You know what I mean? And if you're busy inside our minds, which is so common, then you'll miss it. It comes out of the root, so it's pressurized, it's pouring out. And the joy and the stillness is to basically identify with something. So you don't have to figure out what are you identified with. You experience that there's things you identify with, and you'll reflect upon that. Don't concretize it. Let the next few steps unfold.
It's really great.
Yeah, I love
Perfect.
that.
That was really nice. Yeah. Next up, we have December 31st through January 5th, right? So this is like literal New Year's Eve kind of time. And you always notice New Year's Eve, there's like all this pressure, there's all this expectation for it to be something. And what's interesting is that the sun is in gate 38 and the earth is in 39, which is this fighting energy and this provocational energy, right? So be very careful if you're going out on New Year's Eve, drive safely, try not to drive if you can just like stay somewhere, be careful with it. And so it's interesting considering this from this energetic perspective, because you can get caught up in this like fighty provocation, but what it's actually asking us is what's worth fighting for, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you actually excited about? What was worth fighting for this past year, and what is going to be worth fighting for? Like, what is your dream? What is your vision for the next year? And like, what's kind of poking at you in that like 39 kind of way? What's poking at you to maybe grow and develop into something more, and to consider that?
Absolutely. And because of the melancholic nature of these two gates, particularly, the incredible, just don't worry about a little bit of curious, almost sadness that wonders what's it doing. And because of that nature, this will be very much reflective on the past. So allow that. Just allow what was worth fighting for. What was in the struggle last year. This is about the channel of struggle, and then this other channel on the other side, but mostly the channel of struggle that is fighting for a purpose. You'll see what was the purpose of it all and let it all flow in. And by the way, this is not the time to succumb to trying to make a New Year's Eve resolution. You got 38, the fighter in the sky. All it does is struggle. And it's like this, you couldn't have picked a more unopportune time to try and provoke a resolution in the moment, right? That's what's good, and that's what we do. I know it myself. I mean, it happens to me each year. I stopped finally. I remember I'm like, I don't care. And then I found this process. I remember feeling so relieved. I'm like, oh my God, this is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I would struggle for it. And as it approached, I'm like, what is it? What's the thing? And then finally I just go to a checklist and pick something, I guess, or I don't even know what. It was lame.
Yeah,
Totally lame.
it's like this like adrenalized root pressure. Like, I got to do something. I got to do something. I got to do something.
Right.
What do you got to do? I don't know, but I got to do something.
Right. That's a good point. It's both of these gates are in the root center, and so yeah, don't even try. Just recognize, because of the melancholic nature, the reflection will be very much what was worth the struggle. Where was the purpose found? Where did I find some form of connection that felt personal, that felt a sense of a type of a romance that you felt like being there. And that doesn't have to be a sexual one or anything like that. It's just your romance with the knowledge, your with just others, just happiness with others or not. And what was worth it? Where did you fit in? Who supported you as it relates to the empowerment? Where did you feel empowered over this last year? And allow these reflections to pour through. They'll mean a great deal as this week goes by during this transit.
Perfect. Moving on from January 5th through the 11th, Then we have the sun in gate 54 and the earth is in 53. And so this time is, what are you excited and ambitious to begin, right? What's got you ambitious? What's getting you going? What do you want to begin as a new cycle, right? That's the 53. You want to start something new, and the 54 is about being ambitious to create something new. And like, what's getting that going for you?
Couldn't be any clearer. Start something new. Let it feel like an ambition of yours. And for God's sakes, don't attach money to this unless you do. And by the way, if you do, that's okay too. I'm just saying sometimes we feel like we have to, and that's not what we wanted. And if that's what's going on, you just attach the activity, the thing that was sort of worth going and doing. It will bring you through the right people. And this reflection will include the people. This reflection very much will look forward, because it's looking to experience something. We've got a tribal gate and we've got a gate that is in this experiential abstract process in a way. And so allow yourself to look forward, feel what the ambition was, and allow the contemplation from the week earlier to intermingle some, because it will, sort of like a meditation when the thoughts come in. But the struggle and the stuff that was or wasn't worth it in the previous year, as it enters your consciousness during these times when you're reflecting upon this, let it just pass through. It was there. It doesn't matter. And it may cause a little bit of like, well, this didn't work, that didn't work. Don't worry about it. You have ambitions. You got things. You love stuff. We started with I love me, and we move now to what does I love me want to start right now, because your little 4-year-old version of yourself did love to start things. It couldn't help it. And it was ambitious, and it was always gonna. So allow gonna without that ego trip of have to. That's all. But allow the gonna, and just allow it, because it's a play place to help focus in the rest of these contemplations.
Perfect.
I love
Well,
that.
that was really good. That was a really
Thank you,
fun one.
Moni. Yeah,
Thank you, Danny.
yeah. It's just coming out now.
I know. I feel like if I just create something for you and then you just respond and your rightness just shares all this beauty with us, and it's great.
Thank you, Moni. Yeah.
Thank you, Danny.
Mhm.
Moving forward, January 11th through the 16th, the sun is in gate 61 and the earth is in 62. So this is this energy of inner truth and details. So this is this time for mental clarity, right? Like, what is getting you individual, right? 61 is this individual, pressure to think and be inspired, right? And what is getting you excited in that way? And then, like, what are those details? Like, what is it going to be to do that, to pursue that, and allowing that mental energy to come in. Again, it's not the doing energy, it's allowing that mental to start processing and kind of percolating for you.
It does, and it'll percolate. And I mean, these two gates, it's like the polarities on the other side. The things that they're really after is coming to a rationale and having the right opinion to do something with it. Don't worry about having the sudden knowing of all the stuff and then having the opinion of exactly what to do about it, because that will creep in during this time. Again, all of this will go back to like the meditation. You let it float by, just let it pour in, and it's going to mix with all the other stuff we've done. We're baking a cake here. We're building this beautiful soup that's going to warm our bellies in the cold of winter, and this is part of that soup. And the reason that sounds so cool is because 61 has this inner truth mystery, and it's looking for its opposition that will then come up with all the details. So allow fanciful, crazy details to just pour on through. There's no rules to these details. On either side of this, we're total collective abstract gates with the 56 and the 53, before and after. So you will have plenty of that energy. Just there's a lot of details. Don't get mired in them. Allow what was the mystery? There is a mystery. Is there a mystery worth that I feel like fighting for? Is there a mystery that I do or don't want to solve? What do I know? What don't I know? And surrender to win. What you don't know or can't know is a big part of what you learn here. 61 says there's stuff I definitely know, stuff I can figure out probably, and stuff I cannot know. This is the time to get rid of the stuff you don't know on your process to baking this beautiful cake that has a New Year's resolution in about a week and a half. Coming. It's coming.
It's on the way. It's coming up.
It's on the way.
That was great. Next up, we have January 16th through the 22nd. And at this time, the sun is in gate 60 and the earth is in 56. And so this is this energy of limitation and stimulation. So this is kind of fun. Of the 60 is this, what is holding you back, right? What is kind of confining you a little bit, because it's that confinement and that limitation that then allows like the imagination of like, okay, how do I deal with this limitation? How do I create something new? So it's this time of like, what is kind of boxing you into and like what you want to develop from there. And then 56, it's stimulation, right? And it connects with the ajna. It's a throat gate that connects with the ajna. And ideas is 11. And then stimulation is like creating this exciting story to get it going. So how do we create the linguistic pathway, right? Like, where do you want to go? And how do you develop the linguistic pathway in order to get there? How do you find your limitation and then create the story to blow right out of that and like create something new and exciting?
The trick is with gate 60 at this point in time is to recognize you are to be liberated, because the limitation, the transcending of the limitation is acceptance. All it is accepting that which is already true. And the thing is, you already know it. So now the relief starts to come in. I am accepting of whatever the limitation is. And usually at points like this, the limitation will be 56 will help ferret out. The limitation will be is I don't know what all the details mean from the week before. That's the limitation for our mental process, is so mired in the details and what it doesn't know. And it creates all that crazy fear, frankly, that rips through the ajna, even though the week before weren't ajna gates. It doesn't matter. What is the transcendence of the limitation? As you surrender, you'll start to see, where was I held back? And the contemplation becomes, what is sort of stimulating in a fanciful way that doesn't mind seeking. It just is a seeker. It's the seeker that is always relieved when it realizes it finally accepts the fact that the limitation isn't even a limitation. It's just a practice thing for you to transcend. So reflect on how easy it is to transcend the crap when you suddenly realize that's what I'm supposed to be doing. You want it. Trust me, you want it. And your 4-year-old had it in spades. Trust me on that too. So, yeah.
Perfect. So here we are, drum roll please, January 22nd
Boom. Yeah,
through
huh?
the 27th. We're here, we've done it, we've made it. It's gate 41. The sun is in 41. That is the official human design new year, right? Because the 41 is the start codon within our genetic makeup as well as within our human design mandala. And so with the sun in 41 and the earth in 31, this is this time of imagination and influence, right? It's this go, it's this the root pulse pressure to go and create something fanciful and amazing. And the 31, which is this influence, right? It's this verbal energy. And how do you share your influence and put it out in the world and go start? Now is your time to get that resolution going.
The resolution meets up, because as this gate gets into the sky and these two gates, what ends up happening is 41 is hungry for this whole process we've just talked about up till now to experience it. It's hungry to experience it. So start allowing the experiencing, regardless of the uncertainty that may or may not be there still. This is not for you to be certain. This is for you to follow your strategy and authority and recognize this whole process is an abstract experiential process. Quit trying to make meaning of it. The meaning will make you. You don't make it. And to prove it's an abstract process, from the moment we started, after we got past the struggle, each opposition is anchored by an abstract gate.
Oh.
56, well, technically not the 61, 62, but the 53, the 41, the 33, the 13, it's peppered throughout all of this. So allow it to be abstract. The imagination is hungry to like start a process. And guess what? It's also really efficient. It squeezes out this feeling that it wants to get going on, but it's only going to give you one or two. Focus in on it. It squeezes out one at a time, essentially. And that's what'll be pouring out of you. Your strategy and authority will suddenly get lit up with all the stuff you may or may not feel like doing or that you want to stop doing. This becomes the resolution, so to speak. And by the way, I don't think we need to call it a resolution. It becomes a thing. and hopefully it felt good and you did something with it, but to resolve to do thing, that sounds like a ego talk to me. Which, so if the third of you that have that ego define, yeah, it's a resolution. For the rest of us, it's some great stuff.
Some stuff you
That's
might want
empowering.
to start.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that is empowering, and it shows up. It'll show up is the point. If
There
you
you go.
allow this process and keep remembering, surrender to win. You don't need to make knowing out of it. You need
Mm,
to let it make you the process.
that's cool.
Mm.
So January 22nd, that's your time to go and have fun and start something new and do your thing. But just to give you the full clear picture, the human design quarter of initiation officially starts when we hit gate 13. So we're going to continue on to give you a little bit more info just so you have like a nice full
Hmm.
picture. So
Absolutely.
January 27th through February 2nd, the sun is in gate 19 and the earth is in gate 33. And so this is this wanting and retreating, right? So the 19 is this tribal energy to get you going of like, what do you want? What do you desire? How do you want to connect with people and making sure everyone has what they need and that like emotional attunement. And the 33 is interesting because it's this time of retreat as you're kind of letting like the story percolate, right? Before it starts expressing. And I find that very interesting.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful opposition in that, I mean, as soon as you want, you should retreat to make sure it was what you want. Otherwise, you might get it. Be careful what you ask for, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So there's
yeah.
a built-in check valve on all this. It's like a check valve. Go to Home Depot, get a check valve. Get me a 33. I need two of them.
Uh-huh.
Right. And to put a check on that powerful pressure that comes out of 19. 19 is a motor, 33 is not.
Mhm.
It's not in the motorized center. So what do you want? The reflection is, what do you want? And it's in a tribal circuitry. So it's got a sense of, it wants to be with the right people. It wants to feel it's got the right resources. It wants to know there's someone that's sort of loyal to it on the other side, that there's a place that feels okay. It wants a connection it can touch and feel a sensitivity for, that offers the right principles that it knows when it sees. The wanting is the principles, and the 33 is the remembrance of exactly what they are. So have fun with this time as it relates to really perfecting what you realized in gate 41.
That's really
I don't know
cool.
where all
Like
that came from. That was good.
that
I
was
like it.
great. I love it. I love that 33 that need to retreat and like take it in and kind of take stock of like, you gotta, take a step away, like all the holidays, all the busy, all the everything that's going down, like take a minute, retreat and to actually understand what is it that you want and kind of, chisel out or like hone that energy a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny, you're right, because wanting's powerful. It's trying to march forward, and even it gets fatigued, right? It knows it's fatigued, but it still wants, and 33 just puts it to bed for a little while. Time for a nappy, young man, basically.
That's
So I love that energy. Yeah.
That's great. And finally, February 2nd through the 7th, we're going back to the G center, back to our identity center gates with the 13 and the 7. So this is this directional realignment, right? With self and cooperation, right? When we realign with the vessel gates and the sphinx gates, those identity center gates, it's weird. I feel like we're realigning on our like magnetic compass and like where we're
Mm.
going. It's kind of like just resetting us those like what, 8 times a year. And so this is about, who are you? How are you moving through the world? And how are you cooperating with others?
Yeah, and it's also very much an energy inside your own identity. You'll know because it very much will start with I and we. There'll be a we, but it's I first. It's always I first with us, essentially. But we is right there close to the surface, because what were we? What will we become? 7 is what am I? Where am I going? And 13 is where was I and what was it all? But it can't quite tell a story and it can't quite impact the influence. It's just the energy for it. So don't worry about not having moved a mountain at this point. Concern yourself with the quarter we're moving into. This begins the quarter of initiation, the quarter of mind. Your mind will wake up. And again, by now, in this experiment, over these few weeks, 4 or 5 weeks that go by to do all of this, yeah, it's about 5.5 weeks actually, that go through to do all of this. I promise you, as we move into this new energy, spring is totally on its way. It's like you can feel it, you can taste it. The days have already gotten noticeably longer. You can feel that too. Sidewalks will melt if you're in the northern hemisphere, in the middle of the broad daylight anyway. You start, you'll feel the rejuvenation and the renewal. You don't have to do anything about it. This is the point where strategy and authority will allow you to really actually start doing. It'll just, because trust me, you want to do something, you want to be something. There is an ambition, there was a mystery to solve. The limitation just got, whew, I just started to not care about it. I love me, you know what I mean? I have joy, I want to get rolling, and I'm rolling up my sleeves to fight and provoke for the whole thing. Let's get started. This is the time to start. The channel of initiation is in this quarter. It's one of the only channels in this quarter. Shock and awe is here. The controller is in this quarter. The four ways shows up in this quarter in its 24ness, which hooks up with 60. So much gets put together in this quarter is what I'm trying to say. It's incredible. So
yeah, it's fascinating stuff. So I hope you enjoyed that, our little walk through Christmas and New Year's and the Human Design New Year, and then into the actual start of the initiation. So let us know what you thought. Like, do you have any comments or questions?
totally.
How was your New Year's? Let us know in the comments below.
Let us know. And after it's over, I mean, I would love to hear even just a couple of stories of people. I did the thing and it swept me away. It was not a New Year's resolution anymore. Thank dear God. It was something thought out and very much in keeping with all the ancient wisdoms that said, go through this process. Don't just try and shortcut. So.
Yeah, and just ride the wave of it, like so much of the time we get so lost in our heads. There's so much to think about and there's so much information coming and we think we have to do something. It's always like do. And it's like, hang on, we're at this like end of this, wintry season where it's this time of like, take it in, settle, get cozy, realign with love and what are you grateful for and reflect upon that, right? Allow that natural journey to flow through you and really get something out of it. It's like when you try to rush anything, it always feels a little weird. It's like, no, just ride it out and, don't feel bad if you don't have the energy to hit the gym on January 2nd, you can develop some other good habits until it's really time to like, cool, let's go. And now you're ready and excited and that energy is there with you. And then you can just ride it, surf through it. I just think that's really beautiful. And it's just wonderful that human design allows us this kind of understanding to, be better versions of ourselves, of what's actually like inside.
Yeah, way better. Starting with my love of humanity and I love me moves into where shall I go? What have I done? I mean, that's how this thing is bookmarked. And by the way, this is the first time I've seen this slide like in its full glory. And I want to make sure I'm doing this too because I'll forget in my little hermit ways, right? I'll get lost. I'm like, what day is it? Can you text
I
me
will
a
send
picture
this.
of this
I
slide?
will send this.
Yes, please.
We'll put
Everyone,
it up.
guys, when you're watching this, take a screenshot. This is your little calendar Bible for the next few weeks, please, right?
I'm honored that you enjoy it so much.
Yeah, this is perfect. So, well, Moni, I think we killed it.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Reflect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Let us know how you're vibing with these energies. Thank you for watching and sharing and liking and subscribing and all the things. And, we'll catch you next time for the next show. Bye.
Indeed. Good day, everyone.
Yeah.